Aloha, you can call me Craw. On today's episode of LEGO Sorting and Organizing, we'll talk about a piece of the day, and then we'll dive into a topic that I think is kind of interesting about the piece of the day and its category. Today's piece of the day is this one, which is a 4x6 tile, modified tile. So as you can see, it has studs around the outside and it's got a tile on the inside. Let's look at the history of this one, shall we? So as you can see, this piece has been around for a while. It came out in 1994, so this is putting it its 31st year in history. It's been in 408 sets. As you can see, it's in lots of known colors. But I counted it up earlier, 30 colors. When we look at when it first came out, and in 1994, as you can see, it's in 3 different sets, and they're all from the sub-theme called Belville Playhouse. I thought it'd be interesting to kind of look at one of the sets to see how it comes out. Okay, so this is going to be set 5890, and as you can see in the pictures, this is definitely a precursor to Friends, so to speak, in how it sets. Lots of interesting pieces, lots of interesting shapes. It's very much a very cool set. I thought it'd be fun to kind of look at the instructions of this, by the way. Okay. That's fun. Did not find that. Let's go with Pretty Wishes Playhouse. Search. Wow, they may not have Bellevue instructions on Lego.com. I know they've always talked about how you can get all of the sets, but I don't think they have Pretty Wishes Playground on here. I'm seeing a lot of sets that aren't it. That is interesting. Okay, so let's look at the instructions, see if we can find that piece that we're looking for. All right, so here is a similar piece. If you notice, it's much larger, but right here you can see that this is the same concept. And the piece we're looking for specifically, it's so interesting how they have like the design down here and then it puts into the whole model up there. That's a very interesting way of doing it. And here's our piece right here. There it is. It is this chair. It's just another one that's some really interesting instructions. I checked this one out earlier. So again, this is making it look like a dream. Like she found this and she's like assembling it. Like, that's kind of cool. I like this part here where it like shows her like actually assembling it. Like this is kind of IKEA. This is cool. And then here it again, it is a tabletop on this one. Looks like it's just a couple of different pieces. So cool. Very cool. So the thing I wanted to talk about regarding today's piece of the day is something that I think is very interesting. Because when you look at the piece, it's part tile and part plate. And yet it falls into the category of modified tile. And that's not always the case. So I want to walk through kind of the thought process that I'm trying to figure out to help me determine whether or not something's going to be one just by able to look at it. So for instance, this is piece 33909. This is a tile, and as you can see, is part plate, part tile. You can see this is piece 41740, and it is also part plate, part tile. But this one is listed as a plate. So naturally, I went through plate modified and tile modified and said, let's look at literally every single option I have and see if we can get some information. So for your benefit, I got a spreadsheet, but let's look at all the pictures first so we can know what we're talking about. So this is a tile. This is 33909. This is a tile. This is 88646. This is the minifigure tile that you get. This is 6934B. Also a tile. This is 6179, also a tile. This is 66252, also a tile, but if you notice it has clips on this too, so this is extra fun. This is 6180, the piece of the day, also a tile. This is 6178, also like the part of the day, a tile. It's just kind of a bigger version of it. An even bigger one, this one is number 6205. This is slightly different shape. As you can see, on the side we have some grips. And my microphone is escaping from me. I have no idea how long it's been doing that. But as you can see, it has some grips here on the side, but it's got studs all around it. Also still a tile. Now let's look at the plates, shall we? We're going to start off with 41740. This is a plate. This is 6576, also a plate. And lastly, this is a very old piece. This is from like 1984, 1985. This is also a plate. Where you see black, there are studs, and where you see red, there's tiles. This was used in like some airplanes. Also falling under the plate category are all the jumper pieces. So you have a 1x2 jumper, and I think they're called jumpers because you're jumping the stud from the edge to the middle. So you have this one. You have the double jumper, which is 34103. You have the square jumper, which is 87580. And you have the double square jumper, which is 6509. So rather than throw all those numbers up on the screen and have you guys write them down, I made a spreadsheet because let's be honest, if I'm going to have a database where I talk about these things, I can have a spreadsheet, Excel, which is kind of like a simplified version of a database to go through the information. So as you can see, we have our part number. We have whether or not it's a plate or a tile. We have the length, we have the width, we have the potential studs on top, we have the actual studs, and then we have a percentage. Because I thought it was interesting when we think about it. If it's parts plate, part tile, how much of a tile is it versus how much of a plate it is? And that offered zero help. I tried looking at whether or not these have lips. That offered zero help. The only hard, fast rule I could find is that our jumper pieces, the ones where the stud does not line up with the stud underneath it, those are all plates. But beyond that, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of reason why one is going to be one and one isn't going to be the other. Looking at a percentage, the ones with the highest percentage of actual studs to potential studs is a plate, but then it's tile, 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 then plate, 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 then tile, 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 and then plate, plate at the bottom. Although these two are jumpers. So I guess the only advice I can give you is you should catalog them and categorize them the way you want. Because I am following the Bricklink catalog, I have to organize my parts by that. Because what I don't want to have happen is I'm like, okay, I need this piece. And then I go look for this piece in plates. And I'm like, it's not in plates. Where could it be? Right? Like that's the one thing I don't want to have happen. And so I feel like the least deviation I have between what Bricklink is saying and what I'm saying from a categorization standpoint, from a color standpoint, the easier it's going for me to use Bricklink and use that for helping find pieces. But at the end of the day, you got to do what's the best for you. Mahalo for watching, friends.
So yeah, you have made it to the end, so I think you should give yourself a little pat on the back.
My dad yaps so stupidly much. It's just a known fact about him.
Everything has been said. Thank you and goodbye.
Bye.